Hi you guys, so today I am going to be filming a black and white sugar skull makeup video for you, and I'm going to start off by kind of tracing out my line work where I'm actually going to be filling in with black. I trace it out with a light brown shadow. This is Kid from MAC, and I do this because it's easier to wipe away these lines rather than using a black immediately. So I trace out exactly where I want all my shadows to go, the contour and the eyes. I did a little bit of the nose, but because that kind of changes and I move it around, it's easy to just wipe it away. So then I go in with my black shadow and a pretty dense brush. I use all matte shadows for this because you don't want to use any shimmers. Obviously this doesn't look natural, but if you're going for a more realistic skull, sugar skull look, then you're going to want to use matte shadows. Obviously this is a sugar skull, but still I'm using all matte. Anyways, I'm going to blend that out with a fluffier brush, and then I'm going to keep packing back on. And what I wanted for this is to kind of make it an ombre look. Check if they're even. So I'm making sort of an ombre. So I want more of the concentrated black to be just around the borders of where I put that shadow, rather than making it fully matte, opaque black. So I concentrate most of the black around the edges of where I'm doing things, and then I blend it in, pack it more on, blend it further in, pack it on again, and so forth. So kind of repeating this process. I go pretty slow at first to kind of follow that outline that I made because I want it to stay with my natural shape of my face. You want to go with the natural lines and bones in your own face. So see there, I'm just blending, and like I said, I don't want it to be fully opaque in the middle. I kind of want it to fade into a natural color. You really do want to follow the natural shape of your own bones. It's going to make everything so much easier to be symmetrical. Then I'm taking an even smaller, almost a pencil brush, a little bit fluffier, and adding just a little bit more black. I didn't block out my brows because when you're using black, it really doesn't matter. I could pretty much cover them with that black shadow anyway. So I'm using that denser brush to really pack on the shadow towards the edges of that circle. And like I said, I'm following my natural shape. I'm going to say that a lot here because it just makes everything so much easier, and it looks so much better on your face if you're following your own natural face shape and facial features. So I'm going along and just seeing where my face curves. The inner corners of your eyes are going to be a little difficult, so I'm going to warn you. I think that's the most challenging part. Then I'm going in with a blending brush and just blending that color down and into the center a little bit more. As you can see, my lids are almost natural colored. They're almost my skin tone with just a little bit of gray on them. And I really want this to look blended minus the outer edges. The outer edges can stay a little bit harsher. Then I'm taking NYX's Jumbo Eyeshadow Pencil in Milk, and I'm putting white on the bottom lip, and I am using the black shadow I had to put some black kind of messily on the top lip. This doesn't need to be super opaque like everything else. If you want to use an actual black lipstick, that could look really cool, having that pop of black there. Ooh, then you got a cute little mustache going. It'll come together, I promise. Then I'm taking my tattoo liner by Kat Von D, and this is in black. This is in Trooper. And I'm going to start drawing the petals around the eyes. Now, with this, it's really good to practice these. I definitely practiced a few on some curvatures, like on my wrist, because this part of your eye and your orbital bone is all curved. So I would say practice makes perfect. Definitely practice these beforehand. But if you have a nice felt tip liner or a liquid liner, something that you're comfortable with working with, just kind of curve it around and just go with your natural face shape. Then I'm going to use a couple dots here just for some fun detail work. Same with these fake little eyebrows. Really, you can draw whatever you're feeling. I went for everything being symmetrical. Typically in a sugar skull, everything is symmetrical, but don't follow any rules. It's Halloween, so who cares? This is really just kind of haphazardly doing kind of what comes to me. So it's really free reign on whatever you guys want to do. I'm letting that pencil, well, that felt tip liner kind of work for me. Then I'm doing my nose, and like I said, I traced this part out beforehand, but I kind of just wanted to go with the flow of my nose shape. And I do have a little, yeah, that's not a cute look. I have a little boo-boo there, but you just take some makeup remover. I didn't put any white on before around my face. I am pretty pale, but I just wanted to stick with a natural face color. I wanted to stick with my natural skin tone for this look underneath, but you can obviously do a white underneath if you want. Fill your mouth, fill your nose in with all black, because there would just be cartilage there. So again, realistic skull, non-realistic skull. I'm mixing both. For the mouth, I went in the corners of my mouth and I just drew upwards from there. I smiled a tiny bit and drew upwards from that, kind of checking back to make sure they're both even. Then for the teeth, just draw some lines. I did an equal amount on each side. So I did 5 on that one, then I needed to add 1 more. And as you can see, my felt tip liner is already starting to kind of get a little bit faded. This happens if you use the same felt tip liner the whole way through. You'll see how I kind of rectify that in a minute, because it will start to fade a little bit. And if you make the teeth too long, one nice thing about not having the white underneath, or even if you do have the white underneath, if you want to take it off, you can really just wipe it off with a makeup wipe and reapply whatever was underneath, and it's really no big deal. So I made those teeth a little bit long, and I really suggest stretching out your lip to see the shape that you want. Yeah, no good. So stretch out your lip to see the shape that you want, because look at that. That makes it so much easier to see that all the lines are not even. So then I just go back with my liquid little felt tip liner, add a little bit of a tip. See, there we go. So much easier. And then you can see how easy it is to get all those even when you just pull back your lip like that. So, and you can see that the black and white on the lip kind of mixed, which is totally fine. Everything's kind of grayscale on this, so not totally black. Then on the little cheekbone area, I wanted a little bit of more of a design, so went in with some swirlies. Again, the pen's kind of running out a little bit at this point, but make it work. No big deal. You're making this however you want it to be, so if it gets a little bit more gray than black, who cares? This part, I really just traced my natural cheekbone. I really just went and drug the pencil along, the felt tip liner along my natural cheekbone, and it was no big deal. Getting symmetrical is a little bit difficult, but if you keep checking back, it's really not super hard to do. Then for the chin, I went with a spider web, which is kind of a classic design on a sugar skull somewhere, either the forehead or the chin. And this part was a little bit tricky for me because that pen did keep wearing out. But if you just have some patience and keep some makeup removers nearby, it's no big deal. So I pulled my chin taut and drew some vertical lines up and down just to make that. It's actually way easier to make a spider web than you would think. So I already did some of the lines, but I realized my pen was like completely running out. So I decided to take a L'Oreal gel liner and a smaller detail brush. It's an angled eyeliner brush from Sephora. And I made little curved lines that all connect with each other, leaving a couple points at the top to accentuate the web. And if these lines aren't super thin, not a big deal. There's a few of my lines that aren't super thin. Like I said, it's Halloween. No one's going to be inspecting your makeup like crazy. So if you mess up, wipe it away, redo it, no big deal. It's all about trial and error. I kept those in because it happened a lot. With Halloween looks, you got to practice. You've got to see what works, see what doesn't work, and just keep trying it over and over again until you get what you like. So then just keep doing that as far down as your chin will allow. Nothing super special about that. Then I go in and do a winged eyeliner. I will be having a video coming up of a detailed video of how I do my winged eyeliner. So I just kind of skipped through it at this point. Obviously I'm struggling with that felt tip. I think I went in and filled in with a little bit of gel. So if you only have one felt tip liner, I would suggest having a backup plan or having some time to wait in between using, because it will kind of start running out. Then I did some mascara. I'm using some Peony Lashes by Kiss, and you are all done. All right, thanks you guys. I hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe and click thumbs up, and I love you guys so much. Bye!